outstanding, achieved, successful women who I consider very, very close personal friends, both Dr. Val and the Honorable Judge Lisa Hardwick. We have been friends for many, many years, and just a few minutes ago we're going back and counting the numbers. So we're going to keep that to ourselves, because we're not really that old. How I manage my Christianity in a secular society. Because of the roles in which I have served over the past 25 years, I will share with you briefly from the perspective how I find my strength as a Christian leader in a secular society. As I pondered this topic, many thoughts, images, and scenarios flashed through my mind. I recalled an exercise in my MBA studies which asked us to respond to the question, who is the greatest leader who has ever lived? Although that class was over 25 years ago, again I'm dating myself, my answer remains the same. Initially I cheated because I named two leaders. The two leaders were Jesus Christ and Reverend Dr. C.L. Bachus. Because I was forced to select one, I selected Jesus Christ. Over the years and through my experience in various roles of leadership, I have attempted to follow the model of servant leadership, which was perfectly demonstrated by Jesus. Jesus gave us the perfect model over 2,000 years ago. It is fascinating how Jesus transformed 12 ordinary men, and they were leaders of a movement, Christianity, that continues to affect the course of history some 2,000 years later. In my experience, I have grown to the place where I trust Jesus as the perfect one to follow, as I seek to lead others. Please note, I emphasize that I have grown to the place where I trust him as the perfect one to follow, as I seek to lead others. This is required that I surrender my life and leadership to him. Inasmuch, I believe the key to finding strength as a Christian leader in a secular society is found in Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. In organizations, the rewards of status, money, power, and influence increase as you move up the ladder. If you're not careful, it's easy to get caught up and lose sight of the true purpose of providing leadership. As a Christian leader, I look to the example Jesus set. It is not about me. As a leader responsible to provide leadership to other leaders and staff, as well as services and products to patients and customers, I believe the greatest reward comes from engaged, energized staff and satisfied patients and customers. Jesus' mandate to his disciples regarding how they were to carry out their roles of leadership is very clear in Matthew 20, 25 through 28. And it says, "But Jesus called them unto him and said, Ye know that the princes of the Gentiles exercise dominion over them, and they that are great exercise authority upon them. But it shall not be so among you. But whosoever would be great among you, let him be your servant. And whosoever would be first among you must be your slave. Even as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." As a Christian leader, it is my responsibility to serve my staff so that they can serve others. This is a requirement that I have of my executive staff and my management team. There have been a few who would not adhere to this simple requirement. They no longer work with me. Another key element of Christian leadership is compassion. It's true. Leaders are expected to be strategic, rational, tough, bottom-line business people who focus on results. However, recent research and my experience shows that the current turbulent economic and social times call for a different style of leader, one that exhibits kindness, compassion, and empathy. Driving, directive, coercive styles of leadership may move people and get results in the short term, but the chaos and conflict it creates is associated with toxic relationships and emotions such as anger, anxiety, and fear. While I can't argue with leaders who get results, because I have to get results as well, I believe it's how those results are achieved that matters. Peter Frost writes in his book, Toxic Emotions at Work, all leaders create pain, and we do. It goes with the territory. Leadership is about pushing the limits. However, really good leaders take steps to mitigate, minimize, or mop up the pain that they create. Let's keep in mind, compassion is not the same as likability. Conversely, compassionate leaders exhibit interpersonal closeness that comes with responsibility, vulnerability at times, and at all times an absence of self-interest. There is more than adequate evidence that leaders who practice compassion, and where compassion for others is encouraged and exhibited in the workplace, create workplaces that people want to work in, and are also very productive workplaces. Sometimes people just want to know they are valued, and sometimes they just want to know they care about them. Another key element of Christian leadership is loving God and loving others. Matthew 22, 36 through 40 reads, Master, which is the great commandment in the law? Jesus said unto them, Thou shalt love thy Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it, Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the laws and the prophets. And our folks know, our staffs, and the people that we work with, they know whether we care about them or not. And as leaders, it is our responsibility to value them and show that we care about them. As we honor God through Christian leadership, we show our love for him through constant prayer, praise, and worship. I aim to live my faith on a daily basis and pray that it shows in all that I do. One of the highest compliments I've ever received came recently from one of my physician leaders. She sent me an email and it read, I have prayed to God that he would send us a Christian leader. God has answered my prayer. As I fulfill the role of a Christian leader in a secular society, I gain strength in knowing God's promises to me. He has promised me his presence, which means I am not alone in a position of leadership. He has promised me his protection, which ensures that as I lead and take risks, he keeps me safe. He has promised me peace, which means I don't feel insecure in making tough decisions. He has given me his provision, which means regardless of my needs, he will meet them. And he has promised his power. In adversity, my God delivers and wraps his loving arms around me. God has truly blessed me and allowed me to serve in several capacities of leadership. Every day I pray that I am a blessing to others. I believe he has worked through me to grow people, influence systems, and transform organizations. And for this, I give him all the glory, all the honor, and all the praise. Thank you.